A campaign backed by the British Youth Council is going to launch today, and it's about giving voting rights to 16 and 17-year-olds in all national elections and referendums. But is that a good idea? We're joined now in the studio by Chief Executive and founder of the Youth Vote UK, and that's Alexander Cairns. What I didn't understand about that, Alexander, is if you give rights to 16-year-olds, then surely you've given them to 17-year-olds. What's it saying 16 and 17-year-olds for? Yeah,
I think what it's saying is currently, obviously, in England, you have to be 18 or above. So the campaign is very much to get 16 and 17, kind of grouping them together. I think there's an assumption made that from 16 onwards, that you're kind of an active part in society. A lot of people have part-time jobs, carers, etc. So that's why I think they group it together at 16 and 17-year-olds being
OK.
Vote.
I have a theory, and, you know, I was personally always interested in politics growing up, but I still don't think I really grew up until...
You started paying bills.
So you started paying bills, but also, I think, for a lot of people, it's, you know, probably mid-30s, late 30s. Now, that's an opinion that you obviously don't share, but that's not to say young people can't vote. But do you think that people have the maturity to really appreciate the matters that affect the whole of society at 16?
The experience, really. It's like... A lot of people feel you have to have lived a life. You have to have had, you know, maybe family. You have to have adversity in your life. You have to be paying rent or mortgages or whatever it is. I do understand what you're saying there because, you know, a lot of 16-year-olds are beginning to earn a wage. They have got an interest in what's going on. But does having an interest or working in Tesco's at the weekend make them qualified?
Yeah, so I think when we're going to look at the qualifications of kind of people voting, you could argue that there are people older that potentially haven't necessarily worked, aren't that educated about what they're voting for. So I think 16, 17-year-olds, a lot of them are being taught at school about, you know, the importance of politics. They might have parents that are teaching them about it. If they have a part-time job, they'll know about, like, how the tax system works. Some of them might be carers, they'll understand...
I'm 62, I still don't know how the tax system works, but good luck with that one. Yeah, but what is interesting... at the moment. You see, we sit here and we have various things we debate during the day and whatever. But if you're 16 and you're 17, are they interested in Angela Rayner, whether she flashed her legs or not? Are they interested in Partygate? What would you say?
No, I don't think they are. I think what they're really bothered about is obviously what's happening in the economy. They are going into the workforce. They want to know, like, how companies are going to employ them. They want to know how the tax system is going to work. They want to know what the minimum wage is because most of them are going to be on that minimum wage. So that's the things they care about. They're not going to be bothered whether, you know, Boris Johnson went to this party or that party. They're not going to be bothered about things like that, no.
How likely is it that this is going to be changed, do you think? I mean, it's a debate that's raged throughout all of my life, and when people always say, well, you can get married at 16, you can get pregnant, you can have sex, all the rest of it. Why on earth can't you vote? You can get a job, you can leave school. What's the difference?
Exactly. And I think, you know, I've been having this debate for a while. I think England's behind the curve on this. Wales and Scotland have done this for a while. And every time that we have national campaigns, we see that the engagement in that part of the country is really good. I don't really understand why there's an issue. And I know
I understand. You've got a Conservative government and you've got young people who will vote for Nicola Sturgeon, and they'll be very idealistic, and they'll be all into climate change and lots of things that...
Things that affect them, which are important.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, but they're not Conservative-friendly. So why would a Conservative government say, yeah, let's bring all these youngsters on board?
But I think there's an assumption that they're not going to be Conservative-friendly. I think the Conservatives could easily look at their policies and understand, like, what young people care about, and they could kind of move the dial on what potentially they're going to put in their kind of manifestos. So there is an assumption, yes, that young people will tend to be kind of centre to left, but actually that's an assumption. You know, it's nothing set in stone. Young people will make up their own minds, and you'd be surprised. I meet young people all the time. You make the assumption they're going to be a left-leaning voter, and they're not. You know, it depends on where they live, etc.
I mean, statistically, what percentage of 16 and 17-year-olds are right-wing that might later become right-wing? It is a minority at that age, because people tend to have a much sort of, I don't know, less cynical outlook.
No, they're more idealistic, aren't they? They want to change the world until you then realise...
You've got to pay for it.
Yeah, you've got to pay for it. You're absolutely right. You've got to pay for your family.
I think, in fairness, a lot of people forget that when you go to vote, they might say, you know, I'm not going to vote for the right, but actually what we see is sometimes parents have a big influence, and if they're in an area and the parents kind of have educated them in a certain way, they actually may tend to vote. So 16 and 17-year-olds aren't always just going to vote for a party just because there's an assumption that young people care about X and the Tories care about Y. I think we'll actually see a change in that, for sure.
Have you changed between being 16 and being, what are you, 24 now?
Yeah.
Have you changed in any way, or are you politically the same person that you were at 16?
No, I've definitely changed. So I think, you know, as I've kind of got into the working world and speaking to my parents and kind of speaking to other people, yeah, I've definitely changed. But I think, in fairness, lots happen now. There's a lot more kind of social media engagement. We see, like, different forums that are created. Now on TikTok, a lot of politics comes up. So a lot more young people will be aware of what's going on than when I was 16, to be honest.
Oh, I'll tell you what, our viewers don't like this idea. Can I just read out a couple?
Yeah.
I shouldn't laugh at this one. Billy Dale, voting age should be kept as it is. I mean, at the end of the day, kids today don't know if they're boy or girl, so why should we trust them to vote? Claire Ellis has got in touch to say, no, 16-year-olds should definitely not have the vote. They are not adults. They're not subject to all the laws that apply to adults or at risk of the consequences of those laws, and they are not taxpayers. Why rush to adulthood? And that's just a sample of 2 of them, but, I mean, they're just pouring in. They're not keen.
But I think a lot of people, I understand they're going to have their concerns, but young people take an active part in society. Let's not forget that. 16, 17-year-olds through the pandemic were working the part-time jobs. They were the cleaners, they were the care workers, they were helping lots of individuals. I know lots of young people in my community that were going out and making sure that older people got their food deliveries. So
yeah, but that's very nice. But that doesn't entitle them to a vote.
Why not? You know, they are an active part in society. They're not just sitting at home kind of playing video games. 16, 17, especially 17-year-olds. 17-year-olds are getting into apprenticeships, finishing their A-levels. They're active members of society, and they know they're educated. And I think it's kind of patronising to say that they don't know anything, so they should just stay at home. And
why does it mean so much to you? It obviously does mean so much to you.
It means a lot to me because I think young people are disregarded. What we see in politics is, you know, young people don't stand for election, that they don't get involved, and they're kind of always cast aside in the debate to say they don't know enough. You know, young people, we need to get more experience, they don't pay taxes, all of this stuff, and there's a negative narrative, and I want to change that. Young people take an active part in society, and they should have a say in how our country is governed from kind of top to bottom. Yeah,
especially, I suppose, when it comes to things like climate, because we're so easy to dismiss it, but it will be gone soon. You know, the youngsters coming through, it's going to affect them, it's going to affect their children, and that responsibility should be shared with them. That's certainly a valid argument, I would say. Alexander Cairns, really interesting to talk to you. Always good to have the debate. Chief Executive Officer and founder of the Youth Vote UK. Thanks for coming in.
OK, thanks, and come back again, talk to us again, and maybe we'll take some phone calls and you can help persuade our listeners and our viewers as to why that should be.
I hope so.
You know, because you look at somebody like you and you think...
You're going to be a politician.
He'll end up in politics.
I was worried about the suit today. I didn't want to come across like a Tory MP.
Well, you've got to dress for the job you want.
That's very true.
There you go.
Welcome to the GB News YouTube channel. You can watch us live 24 hours a day, catch up on your favourite shows, and join in the conversation in the comments below.
Don't forget to subscribe and you'll never miss any of our exclusive content.